Hello there, fellow peregrinos. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 10 of El Camino de Santiago Pilgrims podcast, where we talk about planning and preparation for life on the road to Santiago, as well as tips, tricks and hacks to make your journey along the way a lot more enjoyable and memorable for all the right reasons. Today you are in for a treat. We have a brilliant interview with a lovely lady called Shawn Renee from Portland, Oregon in good old US of A, where my statistics tell me I have 34% of my listeners listening. So to all of you guys across the pond, lovely to have you with us. And now she's going to tell us lots and lots of great things. Her favorite 3 cities, towns and villages on the Camino. She's also going to tell us about how she managed to not get one blister along the way, her kind of foot care ritual, not to mention her favorite albergue, and a funny, very funny story from one very memorable night for her in the albergue. But we're going to start, as always in our interviews, by asking exactly how, taking us back to the time and place where she decided to walk El Camino de Santiago. Here's what she had to say.
Okay. I'd known about it for about 7 years, and I had been waiting to do it with some friends who didn't have the time off that I have. I have summers off. So in the fall of 2017, I was talking with my youngest son, who is in Colombia, and he offered to do it with me, but he happened to be in a bar, and I thought alcohol may have been involved in that invitation. So I let it go, and then in spring of 2018, he mentioned it again and offered to go, and I said, let's do it. So we decided in May of 2018 and did it this past summer. So
the general declaration under the influence of alcohol in the bar actually came to fruition.
It did. So I was like, I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to hold him to anything he was promising to do with his mom. But he actually had intentions to follow through with that, apparently. So I was glad of that. It was awesome to get to do that with him.
So he didn't live to regret that conversation.
Apparently not.
Brilliant. So you actually did it with your son in May 2018, correct?
No, that's when we decided to do it. So we did it this past summer. We started in June.
Brilliant. So you've recently come back from the Camino then?
Yep.
Okay, so for the American pilgrims that are listening, can you tell us exactly where you flew from, where you flew to, and your starting point?
Yes, we flew from Portland, Oregon to Paris. We spent a couple of days in Paris, and then we flew from Paris to Biarritz on EasyJet, and then we took the Express Bourriquot to Saint Jean.
Okay, so you actually took the plane from Paris to Biarritz.
Yes.
Right, okay. So for any American pilgrims listening, that could be a potential starting, a way to get to the starting point, fly to Paris and then get a plane to EasyJet. How was that experience for you?
It was great. It was so we were going to fly directly to Biarritz, and it was going to be twice as much as it was to fly to Paris. But from Paris to Biarritz, it was only $55. So yeah, very affordable. And
a lot quicker than the train, and sometimes cheaper or the same price as the train. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and there was no problem carrying the bags on. We had them in carry-on without a problem.
Fantastic. So you've flown from Portland to Paris, got the plane down to Biarritz, and I'm guessing that you took the train from there?
No, we took Express Bourriquot. They have a shuttle that will pick pilgrims up.
Is that right? Okay.
Usually it's a shared ride because it's a big shuttle, but there was nobody else coming with us. And so it cost about $85 for the two of us, but you can share it with several pilgrims. So to keep the cost down, and a lot of times, go ahead.
Okay, brilliant. So there's a shuttle service. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Fantastic. And could you just say the name of that again, please, just for those listening?
Yeah, it's called Express Burricat.
Express Burricat. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll stick a link to that on our Facebook page so people know where to find that. Okay, so you've got to your starting point after a drunken conversation with your son in the fall of 2017. He's in Colombia, maybe drunk a little bit of the famous Cuba Libre over there, something like that. It's landed him with the magical time of walking the Camino de Santiago with his mum in this summer just gone. So June must have been very busy.
It was not as busy as I expected it to be. I've heard that May and September are the busiest months. So I think the summer gets a bit hot for people. So we started the 15th of June.
Right.
And yeah, it was great.
From Saint-Jean. Okay, Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. You started from there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So how was your first day?
It was short. I stopped at Orison.
Okay.
So Stephen had planned to stay at Orison with me, and he was up there in a matter of just a couple of hours. So I was up there an hour later. Found out I'm a very slow walker after all. And then he pressed on to Roncesvalles, and I stayed at Orison by myself. And then we met up again in Pamplona.
Oh, fantastic. So it was okay for you to kind of walk your own way and at your own pace?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, just interesting for those that maybe are finding that first day a bit daunting, because if you don't know, it's I think it's a 17-kilometre hike all the way up into the Pyrenees. How long does it take to get to Orison from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, more or less? Can you remember?
I think about 2.5 to 3 hours for average walkers. Right. It's not far at all.
And that's all on the way up, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
But that slices that daunting first day up into two, doesn't it? So
yes,
okay,
I would do it that way again. Yeah,
you'd definitely recommend that if you kind of not fancying that first big hike on the first day.
Absolutely, and it's a great time to meet people. They have a communal dinner, and everyone stands up and says where they're from and why they're doing the Camino. It's a great place to meet people.
Brilliant. Okay, so you're in Orison. You've got yourself into Roncesvalles on the second day. You've caught up with your son in Pamplona, and probably maybe about 2, 3, 4 days in by then. Did you get any blisters kind of breaking your boots in for the first days of tough walking?
No blisters the entire time. It was amazing.
Really? Okay, you've obviously done your homework.
I tried.
Could you attribute that to something, some kind of formula for success?
So my shoes were Hoka's, and I had them a half size large to allow for swelling, and they have a really wide toe box. And I used Vaseline every morning. I had Injinji toe socks and Smart Wool socks, which I changed out. I changed my socks midway every single day.
Okay, so you were changing your socks, number one. Your shoes were half a size bigger to allow for the swelling, and you put Vaseline on your feet before walking every day.
Yep, and sometimes at the breaks in the middle of the day as well.
Yeah, I've heard a few people say that as well. So, okay, well, you've heard it from Shawn Renee right here. That is the way you don't get blisters on the Camino. So simple, hey?
Well, it worked for me.
I should have heeded your advice before I went walking, because I had some awful blisters. But anyway, you live and learn. You win some, you learn some. So, okay, so no blisters the entire time. What about your son?
None as well. He wore Ultra Timps. I'm not sure the brand or the style, but he wore Ultras.
Right. Okay. So are they blister socks like the Injinji stuff?
I don't know about his socks. I think he had Smart Wool socks.
Right.
He did not have toe socks. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so success so far on both those scores, on the blister scores. Okay, so you hear some, shall we say, colourful stories about life in the Albergues. Have you got any colourful stories about the Albergues? And have you got any colourful stories? Let's ask you one question at a time.
Well,
that sounds like you do.
How colourful do you want?
All the gory details, please.
So one night I was sleeping. We were in a great albergue, and there was a lady up above me, and a bag of nuts fell on me in the middle of the night. And the next morning she got up about 5 a.m. She's like, "Can I have my nuts back?" I'm like, "That's fine. Here, take your nuts." The next albergue I get to, it's the municipal. I forget what town we were in. And Stephen and I had met up with some other people, and the kids usually save me a lower bunk, but that night they didn't. So I said, oh man, you guys didn't save me a low bunk. And this man heard me say that. So he allowed me to have his lower bunk, and he got in the upper bunk. And I said, well, just don't drop your nuts on me in the middle of the night. We'll be fine.
So, yes. And did it wake you up when the nuts fell on you?
It did.
It did. That's a very unique story. I've never heard anything like that. And she actually woke you up to get her nuts back.
She did.
Right. Okay. Well, they must have been very, very important to her. Well, that's a very, very funny story. It seems like you can see the funny side of it, and a good story to tell as well. For those that have are a little bit kind of apprehensive about life in the albergues. I mean, I'm mentoring someone through one of the Facebook groups, and they sent me this kind of personal message saying they'd heard these horror stories about bed bugs and snoring. Have you got any kind of survival tips for the albergues apart from being careful of raining nuts?
We didn't have any bed bugs. I don't remember snoring. I think I'm a pretty good sleeper, but I had earplugs, my eye mask. I loved. I had a big towel. I had one of the Turkish towels that I could use as a privacy screen.
Okay.
And a USB. Yeah. Also an adapter with a extra USB was very helpful.
Okay. That's really interesting because I've heard lots of people say obviously the earplugs and the eye mask, but the Turkish towel you said it was that you used as kind of for privacy. That's actually a really, really good idea. And something I might do on my next one. Okay, so, and what did you use the USB adapter for? Just for listening to music, watching something on your phone, or?
For the plug-in for the phone's charging.
Yeah. Okay, so, excellent. So you didn't have to kind of traipse across the room to get your phone
And many people could charge at the same time. There are some that have several USB outlets, so they could.
So taking that extra charger with you can come in handy as well as the Turkish towel for privacy.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Lots of really valuable stuff you're letting people here know. So thank you very much, Shawn Renee. And let's go on to talking about kit lists. You've mentioned a few kind of things that you said that were really important. Is there anything else that you feel like you couldn't have done without, and if you were to do the Camino again, would be the first thing on your kit list?
It's a very small thing, but I took safety pins, and I would not do without them just because we stayed in some places that were a few stories up, and I would pin my clothes to the clotheslines to make sure they didn't fall. Yeah. And pinning my socks to the outside of my pack if they weren't dry all the way. Yeah, that's a really, really good tip as well. That's exactly what I used some safety pins for, just to stick on my rucksack as you're walking through the day. So if they haven't dried overnight, if it has rained, they could dry while you're walking. Obviously, sometimes you're walking through some towns and cafes and people are eating and stuff. You don't want your socks swinging in their face, but this is what life is as a pilgrim is all about, isn't it? Just kind of using nature to do what you would normally use a machine to do at home. So brilliant. Okay, so safety pins. Anything else? No, I don't think I brought anything extraordinary that other people wouldn't have thought of already. But I know safety pins is kind of a back and forth. People are like, why do we need those? And I'm like, well, I would do those over the others, and they're smaller than the clothespins. So
yeah, and the pegs as well, like a couple of pegs, maybe some safety pins as well. But I really say that's important because sometimes you get to the albergues on the clotheslines and there aren't any pegs, there aren't any pins, and you come back and you kind of underwear's blown away. So yeah, great idea. That fantastic.
And I took poles. I know those are a very personal choice, but I would not have done without my poles, and I would take them again as well.
Your walking poles, you would take them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason for that?
They really help on the downhills, and I walked a couple times without them. I think they help my posture a lot. Mm-hmm. So I noticed my back getting sore a couple times when I walk without them, even on the flat.
Yeah. And you find that when you're going on those kind of crunching descents, on those cruciate crunching descents, sometimes it takes the force out of your knees, doesn't it?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
brilliant. Okay, so walking poles, safety pins, those are the two things you wouldn't do without. Is there one thing you took with you that you didn't use and you definitely wouldn't take again? Something maybe you discarded along the way?
Actually, yes, a sleeping bag, I discarded that, and my fleece jacket I discarded just because of the time of year.
Okay. So for those walking in the summer, maybe you wouldn't need a sleeping bag. Definitely not a thick one anyway. And yeah, so brilliant. Okay, so maybe consider not taking a sleeping bag with you if you're going during the summer. Did you find it very hot in the evenings in the albergues?
Yes, a lot of them would advertise air conditioning, and then they'd turn it off at 9 o'clock. It's like, well, technically they had air conditioning,
Yeah.
but it wasn't accessible 24/7. So that became a challenge. I had a sleeping bag liner, and so that was enough and not too heavy. Didn't make things too much hotter.
Yeah.
But
And sometimes with all those bodies under the same roof, it can get very hot in there, can't it? So, yeah, that's probably a good thing to do if you're kind of going in the middle of the summer. Okay, at the height of summer, what was your favourite town or city on the Camino? It can be one or two, and just tell us why, please.
I liked Burgos. I liked the park and the river running through the town and the plaza. They're having a festival going on, which made it even nicer.
Fireworks going off and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that happened in a lot of the cities, actually.
Yeah.
It's like
Nine
having
9 o'clock in the morning, you're kind of drinking your cafe con leche, and all of a sudden you're like, boom! It's like, what was that? It never happens in England at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure about in Oregon, but
Right.
yeah. So Burgos is one. You just kind of like the ambience and the feeling of the city itself.
Yes, and I liked Astorga as well. I like Gaudi, so it was fun to walk through the palace, and then Leon as well. So I liked the big cities. I liked the Gaudi Palace and the Gaudi Museum and the cathedrals.
Yeah, the Episcopal Palace with the kind of thin turrets and granite grey kind of bricks, isn't it? Yeah, I remember that. It looks like something out of a Disney movie. So Burgos, Leon and Astorga, you'd recommend that people, if they have a chance, to spend a little bit more time in?
Yes, I took a rest day in Burgos and one in Astorga just to explore a little bit more.
Brilliant. And did your son stay with you, or was he kind of just firing off ahead?
He stayed in Burgos with me, and then he took a rest day in Leon, and while I took one in Astorga. So
okay. What's interesting, obviously you said your son's gone off and walked on his own. You both walked for a little bit. One of the concerns of one of the lady that I'm mentoring, she's an American lady, and she says she's worried that she wouldn't find anyone to walk with for safety, really. What would you say to kind of allay those fears for those that are thinking about going?
It's very rare that you're totally alone on the trail. So I always feel like you can be alone if you want to. Like a lot of times I chose to be by myself, but you can also choose to be closer to people. There's always a group of people or one or two people either ahead of you or behind you. So I never felt afraid. I walked alone probably 75% of the time. Right. And never felt unsafe.
Okay, that's nice to hear, and I'm sure that will kind of allay the fears of those that are worried about it. So you can always find, I mean, that's exactly what I said. You'll always find someone to walk with if you want to. So yeah, I agree with that. All right, so we talked about your favourite towns and cities. What about a specific albergue and why?
Okay, this was hands and shoulders above the rest. Albergue Morena and Les Digos was amazing. It's an old house, and the grandmother of the current owner started it, and they have a fabulous pilgrim meal, and they have a bar attached, which is really nice for breakfast purposes. Nice little courtyard area, and the rooms were beautiful. There were four of us, and we all had our own separate brass beds. It was just beautiful. It was a beautiful home and just really nice personal touches. They gave us fruit baskets on the bed, which we had never experienced before, or since.
Was that a private albergue?
It was.
Okay. And can you remember how much you paid for that, more or less?
I don't remember paying more than 12 for any of the private ones, though, and we stayed in several private.
Yeah, they're very reasonable, aren't they? Even though
they are very reasonable.
Yeah, sometimes you just pay that kind of double what you'd pay in the municipal albergues, but it's like going from economy to first class, isn't it, really?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, can you remember the town or city or village this was in?
It was in Ledigos.
How do you spell that? Can you remember?
Ledigos.
Ledigos. Okay, brilliant. And we'll find that and we'll stick a link to that on our Facebook page, El Camino de Santiago Pilgrims Podcast. Thank you very much for that one. So, Albergue Morena, that's what you called it, wasn't it?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay.
It was named after the grandma. Her name is Morena.
Ah, that's a nice touch. Family run, always a good sign, I think, when you get that. Okay, so talking of kind of places that stick out for you, was there a city, town or village you didn't stop, but you were passing through and wished you did?
Yes, absolutely. It was Viana. It was so cute. And I stopped there for a snack, but we were on our way to Logroño, and I already had a room booked, and two other people were depending on me, so I had to get to Logroño. But if I hadn't had that situation, I would have stopped at Viana for sure.
Yeah, so Viana, like you say, I think it's 10 kilometers or so before Logroño. So anyone that's kind of torn between Logroño and Viana, maybe if you listen to Shawn Renee's kind of advice, you might want to try there. Okay, so let's move on to, it sounds like you had everything planned out well, and you were enjoying walking alone. You were enjoying the towns, cities and villages, Burgos, León, Astorga, and obviously dodging some nuts from time to time. But is there one thing you'd do differently apart from avoiding the nuts if you were to walk the Camino again?
Just not booking ahead. We didn't book ahead every night, but I would leave myself more flexibility just to stop where I wanted to if I saw an interesting albergue or one had a swimming pool, or, if I wanted to take a short day. That was the one thing that I would do differently. Just kind of play it by ear.
So maybe be a bit more flexible, go with the wind a bit more.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's something that I would agree with that, because I think like my first Camino, I did it way too quick, and when I finished, I didn't want to go home anyway, so I don't know why I did it so quickly. But it wasn't that quick, but it was only like 28 days. But
oh wow,
yeah. But I mean, it was when I finished it, I regretted that I was kind of coming face to face with going home. So I think that's one thing I would do differently, is definitely go slower, and the places I think that I wish I would have stayed in, Molina Seca.
Yes.
That looked amazing. When you come across that bridge over the river. And Ponferrada.
Especially after that long, hard walk.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's coming down from Cruz de Ferro, I think, isn't it? From the highest point on the Camino Francés. So, okay, so be a bit more flexible, Shawn Renee says, and I would definitely recommend taking your time if you've got that luxury. Okay, so lots of people walk the Camino because maybe they're looking for answers to some big questions. I don't know if you'd want to allude to your reasons for walking the Camino, because I know they can be very personal. So was there a reason you walked it, apart from the fact that your drunken son one night said he would do it with you and you didn't want to break a bargain? But was there a reason you walked it, and something you took away, like a takeaway for yourself?
I think just to go with the flow more. We ended up with it started out with 2 of us, and we ended up with 5, and I just learned to go, okay, we're going to stay here tonight, because the girls would book a room, and I'm like, I can be okay with that until I'm not. And then there was one night in Sarria, they booked a room, and I was walking along with them, and as we were walking, I was behind everyone, and I was feeling that I just wasn't feeling it. So we got there, and I said, I'm going to go to a different place. So like just listening to myself, but also being willing to go along with the others. It's just like, and listening to your body. I guess listening, that's what the theme I'm getting here. Because I got listening to my body. I was doing a lot of that during the time. I think that's another thing that helped me stay healthy and not get blisters.
Yeah. So you basically, your takeaway for that would be listen to what your body's saying, feel like, be more in tune.
Yes, and yeah. And your mind. And I mean, just your whole, just listening and being open to whatever comes, I suppose.
And that's something that can, sometimes it's hard in the drudgery of day-to-day life to take that time out to listen to your body and listen to your, would you be referring to your intuition maybe, or?
Yeah, perhaps just being more open to that. And yeah, because then, it does get lost in day-to-day a lot of times.
So making the time really to be able to connect with that energy that brings the answers, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Giving it that space that it needs.
Yeah, setting that space aside. And I think that's one thing the Camino definitely does, is the time on the road. Like you said, if you walk 75% of the time on your own, then I think there's a lot of thinking space and headspace, isn't there? The answers. Yeah, the answers just kind of come naturally in that moment. Sometimes whether you want them or not. Okay, so that would be your biggest takeaway.
Yes.
And what had your son ever done anything like that? Was there some kind of revelation that the escape to nature brought for him?
No, he's out in nature a lot. He rock climbs and mountain climbs and scuba dives, so he's pretty connected with nature, and I think that's one of the reasons that he wanted to do it, just to see another place in that way.
So it's more for just an adventure that your son was into it?
I think so.
Brilliant. Okay. Moving on to, I'd like to ask this question. Was there a Spanish food or dish that you wished you could take home with you and you'd recommend those that are going to walk the Camino should definitely try?
Absolutely. The tortilla patata every day. That's amazing. Yes. Second brekkie, we'd have, just a snack when we started walking. And then the first bar we come to, of course, tortilla patata and zumo de naranja. And then at the break times, the Aquarius. We don't have that here in the United States, and I would love to have it here.
So the Aquarius is the soft drink, isn't it?
It's, it has electrolytes in it.
Yeah. And
it really helped, I believe, especially in the heat. I've carried one with me all the time.
Right, okay. So the Aquarius and the tortilla, the Spanish tortilla, the patata.
Yes, and the zumo de naranja, there's nothing like that.
And that was your second brekkie, and that powered you through the next part of the day?
Yep.
Absolutely. Gave you your second win. Brilliant. Okay. So I don't know if you learned any Spanish before you left, but is there one word you came away with that you learned on the Camino that you definitely recommend, or phrase that those that are going to walk it should learn?
Oh. Well, if you don't know the word baños, go ahead and learn that one.
Yeah.
Get that one ahead of time. But another one I liked was ballet. Ballet. It's like, oh, it's okay, ballet. Like they were all saying it. Like, that's a great one.
It's a bit confusing, isn't it? 'Cause it just sounds like ballet in English, but it actually means okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So ballet, which means okay. And, the other one you said, sorry, I forgot that a second ago. What was it? What did you say? Oh, baños. Baños, which... If you're not aware of that, means toilet. So if you run into somewhere with a look of panic on your face and say baños, that'll definitely get you out of trouble. Okay, so baños, that's one you're going to need. All right, let's we can wrap this up now and just talk about a couple more things. For you, what was the hardest part of the Camino?
Getting in and out of the cities was really hard for me. I liked to glom onto people when I could for those portions, just because a lot of times the shells weren't as obvious to me. I know that a lot of times they're in the sidewalks, but when they weren't, that was a challenge.
So getting in and out of the cities is sometimes hard because, you're fighting for attention with the billboards and the bus stops, fly posters, and obviously there's just so much. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, those yellow arrows sometimes, isn't it?
Especially going into Burgos, we missed the Riverwalk path, and just there's no sign that we could see except for there was a big sun spray on a building far into the city. But besides that, we didn't see, I don't know if we were walking on the wrong street or what, but.
Yeah, I missed that as well. Yeah, and I missed coming out of the city at Burgos at 5 a.m. I got lost as well. So, that can be a bit tough. But I think sometimes, like you say, safety in numbers. If you do think you might get lost, it's good to be in a group when you're in situations like that. Okay, so that was the hardest part, getting in and out of the cities. What about the best part? I mean, you might have alluded to that already by saying, you found time and space to connect to your body and listen to your body and yourself. Was there anything else that stands out?
Just the camaraderie. It was just amazing. Like, where else can you go from city to city and find a group of friends waiting for you at a table to break bread? That was just amazing to me. And it was different people every time we stopped, but we all knew each other just because we were on the same path. So that was pretty incredible.
Like you say, I mean, in what other situation in life would you find so many nationalities from so many different walks of life sat around a table and bonding, where ordinarily you might not even make eye contact with these people on the street.
Absolutely.
And it does break down those societal barriers beautifully, I think, and I think that is part of the magic of the Camino. I mean, talking of the magic of the Camino, for me, like, the camaraderie is one, and also the funky, wacky, quirky characters you might meet on the road. Is there any character like that stand? Did you meet anyone that, kind of, you might probably going to tell a story about to everyone for the rest of your life?
I met a very dark character and walked with him for a while, and it was an interesting experience, I must say, for sure. And luckily a friend of mine walked up several minutes into our walk together, but he was having some issues and just trying to find himself, and it seems like a good place to do that. So I'm glad that hopefully he found his answers on the trail.
Well, if you're looking for answers, the Camino is definitely the best place to be. That's for sure. It sounds like that your friend came along just in the nick of time there as well. So, I mean, I remember meeting like a couple of characters, like one lady I was in, where was I? I can't remember for the life of me, but she was pressing some flowers onto her ankle, and I didn't really understand why she was doing it. She told me that she believed the flowers were going to heal her ankle. And I thought that was just quite, funny. And I thought, why not? Why not? That can definitely be true. I met a guy that was walking around the world. He was raising money for AIDS victims, and he had this little kind of business card, and it said Stephen Malone, poet and worldwide walker on it. Like, that was his job. It's people like that stand out in the memories for me. So, okay, so I'd like to, you've been so generous with your time, Shawn Renee, and I'm so grateful that you've given me your time, and you've actually just kind of unloaded so many things that those that are going to walk the Camino can take from you, learn from your experience, and make their Camino definitely better. For those that are walking the Camino, if they've got doubts, what would you say to convince them just before we say goodbye? A piece of advice, maybe. A parting piece of advice.
For those who are on the Camino?
For those who are about to walk it, or kind of want to walk it but are scared. Okay.
I've been telling people since I've gotten back, if you have any inclination at all to do this, go for it. You will not have any regrets. Even if you get blisters and have a hard time, you're going to learn something about yourself. You're going to have something about how you interact with others. You're going to learn something about the world. You're going to meet people from all over the world. It's just, there's no downside as far as I can tell.
I would definitely echo those sentiments. For me, the first time I did the Camino, because it was all so fresh and new, it was the best month of my life. And yeah, I always say it will be the best decision you'll ever make. So just echoing those sentiments as well. So we definitely agree on that one. So it remains to be said, Shawn Renee from Oregon, USA. It has been an absolute honor and a pleasure to speak to you for the last half an hour. Thank you so much for your time. You were very patient with me because we were supposed to talk and I had a power cut for 7 hours, and you're here 7 hours later with me. So I'm so grateful for your time. So thank you for all the pearls of Camino wisdom you've given us. And the last thing I want to say is, buen camino, fellow peregrina.
You're welcome. Buen camino.
Well then, welcome back, fellow peregrinos. Really hope you enjoyed that interview with Shawn Renee from Portland, Oregon, US of A. So let's just summarize over those key takeaways. The things you can stick in your backpack and take with you. So firstly, American pilgrims, one way you could get to the starting point in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port would be to fly to Paris, take an EasyJet plane or any plane that goes to Biarritz from there, and then take the Express Boycott, which is an express service to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. And I think Shawn Renee said she paid €80 with her son, and possibly it could be cheaper if there's more of you using that express service. Shawn Renee said she got no blisters for the whole 500 miles, all 804 kilometers from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Santiago de Compostela. And what did she attribute that to? She said she had some Hoka hiking shoes and they were half a size, should I say, larger. She put Vaseline on her feet every morning. She changed her socks halfway through the day and she wore Injinji blister socks. Cannot stress enough how important it is that you get as many miles in your boots before you go walking on the Camino or in your hiking or your trail shoes, and you try stuff out. Okay, so bit of trial and error before you go. You could try putting Vaseline on, try it with or without some blister socks, whatever brand they may be. The brand that Shawn Renee talked about was the Injinji blister socks which we have talked about and were featured in episode 3 of the Camino de Santiago Pilgrims podcast. Right, okay. Coming up for air, let's get on to the next thing that she talked about was beware of the falling nuts. Okay, so when you're sleeping in your bottom bunk, if someone upstairs is eating nuts, then they may be raining on you in the night. So yeah, beware of those, which I thought was a really funny story. For a little bit of extra privacy in the albergues, when you're in the dorms, the shared dorms, you could take with you, if you don't mind having that extra weight on your back, a Turkish towel, which you could hang across your bunk, and that would act as a privacy screen. Okay. What else did Shawn Renee talk about? She mentioned that she took safety pins, which was the one thing she wouldn't do without on her next Camino if she was to do it again. And these come in very handy for multiple purposes, but she used them for hanging clothes in her backpack while she walked, wet clothes if they hadn't dried overnight, and also pinning to washing lines and clothes lines at the albergues. Walking poles also, she said she would never go on a Camino again without those things. They take the force out of your knees, help with posture, and I would vouch for the fact that they definitely give you an extra bit of rhythm. If you don't like walking poles, you don't want to carry them with you, you want to pick and choose when you use them, you could do what I did and just kind of pick up big sticks from the forest you're walking through and use them and jab them into the ground for a bit of extra rhythm and momentum. Because she walked in the summertime, Shawn Renee said she wouldn't take a sleeping bag with her. She didn't use a sleeping bag, so I'm guessing she just slept in her clothes. The 3 places that she said she recommended you visit and stay some extra timing if you have the luxury of time would be Burgos, Astorga and León. So 3 big cities. The Episcopal Palace, that's the Gaudi Palace in Astorga. There's a lovely cathedral in Burgos and León, and they're all 3 big cities that are definitely worth spending some extra time in and getting to know if you have the luxury of time. So those were her favourite cities and towns. For those that are worried about will they be able to find someone to walk with, is the Camino safe, Shawn Renee and I both have said that you can always find someone to walk with. In fact, I would go so far as to say that when I walked in the summertime, I've walked the Camino, in the summer and in the winter. And I would say in the summertime, if you are worried about walking alone, then that would be the best time to walk it, because you're probably going to have bigger problems trying to find time on your own rather than walking alone. So, yes, the summer is a good time to walk it if you're worried about walking alone, and you will always, I would say 9 times out of 10, always be able to find someone to walk with, and you may well find it more difficult finding time on your own. So that should put to rest those fears of safety. The albergue, which Shawn Renee said was head and shoulders above any others was the Albergue Morena, and that's in the town of Les Digos. Okay, Les Digos, should I say. That's spelled Ledigos, Les Digos, and I have put a link to this albergue on our Facebook page, El Camino de Santiago Pilgrims Podcast. Okay, so you can look on there and plan a stay there. That was Shawn Renee's favourite albergue. Viana, which is just before Logroño, I think about 7, 8 or 9 days into the Camino, depending on how fast you're going, into the Camino Francés, is the town that she wished she'd stopped in. So I could probably agree with that as well. I did like Logroño. I thought that was a beautiful city. I found that was definitely a place I would recommend staying. But Viana as well, just before it, about 10 kilometers before it, is the place where she wished she'd stopped, and she would stop again. If you're a foodie and you're wondering what you should be eating when you're out there, well, the thing that Shawn Renee wished that she could get on a daily basis in America after returning home from the Camino was the tortilla española, which is the tortilla, potato tortilla, basically. It comes in a big wedge and you kind of hack into it with a fork. So yeah, that's definitely a dish worth trying. It's good breakfast to power you through the day. And she also said she loved the Aquarius drink, very refreshing carbonated drink. And that gives you electrolytes, don't you know? It has electrolytes, so it helps keep you hydrated. Okay, so nearly at the end here, and I'm going to take a deep breath because I always find myself speeding up when I should be slowing down. And the hardest part of the Camino for Shawn Renee was getting in and out of the big cities. So do take care when you're going into the cities and going out of the cities, to keep an eye on those all-important yellow arrows. So that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. We'll be back next week. We have another couple of interviews coming up over the next few weeks. We've got an author, a Camino author, from Scotland, and we have a lovely lady from Germany that's walked the Camino Portugués. So if you're thinking about doing one of the lesser trodden trails, the road less travelled of the Camino Portugués, then that will be of interest for you. And if you're thinking of doing it, yes, then definitely that will be a way for you to find out a bit more info. So, fellow peregrinos, make sure you tune in next week. Go back and listen to some of the other podcasts. We've got 9 episodes as well as this one. And if that's not enough for you, do check out Dan Mullin's Camino de Santiago podcast. It's called My Camino, and Dan tends to delve more into the, shall we say, the spiritual element of the trail. And it's always a great listen to hear of people's personal journeys from who they were before they started the Camino to who they were when they finished. And yes, do go onto our Facebook page, Camino de Santiago Pilgrims Podcast. You can drop us a review on there, or even better, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes if you think we deserve it. So I can only say, fellow peregrinos, thank you so much for listening. Speak to you next week. Until then, buen camino. Hasta luego.
Wanderer, life adventurer, said he's a secret philosopher. He's a wandering wanderer.